Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Overwatch All-Star Trial Season 2, Week 7. We've got one hell of a match for you folks here today. It's going to be Astray versus the New York locals, and I've been treated to a game of Astray before, and my co-caster has also seen these guys in action. Please welcome Temporal. Temporal, lovely to have you today.
Thanks, Moxie. It's great to be here, and yes, as you said, we've both seen Astray in action, and this team is just... it's just bottled aggression. Once the match starts, they will open that bottle and they won't stop until the match is done.
Yeah, they've been blitzing through the teams that we've set them in their path. I think it's fair to say a couple of games of Astray, normally you get 4-0'd. There has been one time where these guys, they haven't lost, but they have drawn. So it does prove that the Immortals can bleed. Whether New York locals will be able to unlock that puzzle, though, well, that's for us to find out, and I'm looking forward to this one. I know you are too, headed off to Lijiang Tower first, and that's usually a good idea on how teams operate.
Yeah, you it always gives the first indication when you open up on that control map of just how mechanically skilled the team is. Of course, control is a bit more brawly, a bit less coordinated. You're not playing around an objective as such. You're just playing around a certain area, and the team that is able to I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, the team that is generally more mechanically superior tends to take the day. So we'll see. Yeah.
And certainly we get to see what kind of compositions teams are more favorable and comfortable on in that CP, because we see the pharmacies come out. We see a May sometimes. If you manage to get a control center, you do see the popsicles come out of the fridge freezer, and oh, it can be gruesome if you manage to get that May up in that aggressive chokehold.
And we know, just from watching Astray before, we know Chinese food has a rather deadly May, and I particularly like the DPS from Astray. They play very aggressively. You see also Rory capitalizing on what Chinese food's able to do, getting in really deep, just playing with the backline of the opposing teams. So for New York locals, you want to be very wary of these DPS from Astray. They're the playmakers on that team. They're the ones that'll be going forward, being aggressive. So I think as New York locals, the key to taking it on Astray here is be wary of the DPS, have a plan on how you want to deal with them.
Not only that, but you can't stubbornly stick with compositions that are perhaps the meta. We've seen Astray kind of struggle when they face teams that try to play the field how they're more comfortable on. Like, we've seen some swap-ups from certain teams in the past where they've gone off this Orisa Sigma and fielded something that they're less practiced in, but they're more hardy at, that they've had managed to mold over the years that Overwatch has been available. And that was when Astray struggled, when people stopped playing the game that they'd set out for them. And so if you're New York locals, I indeed want to see counterpicks coming out, compositions being swapped up in case you struggle with this mirror matchup.
Yeah, definitely want to see that. We've got a couple of good maps coming up. We've got Junkertown, a good Bastion map, and I know last time I saw Astray on Junkertown, they struggled to play against a Bastion.
Oh, Bastion can be one of those where you can either entirely hold a team, or you get absolutely steamrolled and wake up in spawn wondering what exactly happened. If you get run over, it can be horrible, but if you manage to get that full hold, it is bliss.
Yes, it is indeed. I'm also seeing, I've seen Eichenwald as well. It's another, but I guess both of the maps in the second half are good. They often offer a slightly different flavor to the meta composition. You do see a bit more Bastion coming out in those. You see a bit more Pharah. We've been seeing Widow a couple of times as well. Just slight changes in those maps, and that going back to your point will be where New York locals will have the best opportunity to bring out something that is not the meta.
It's definitely perhaps not going to be the meta for quite as long as perhaps a couple of tank players were wanting, because, I mean, we have to talk about that PTR patch that came in, because, it's a doozy!
I'm not complaining. I do want to see some more Reinhardt Winston being played. I mean, Orisa's fun and all if you like, playing just with your mouse and I don't know, sipping martinis.
Just taking your hand off the keyboard, sometimes going for like a sip of Red Bull, just like, yeah, oh, I got a 6K, cool. No, I enjoy playing Orisa. I don't know why, but something about it. Maybe it's because, you know, I'm a support main at heart. So that means that I go Lucio and I look for the environmentals. so something with Orisa players just rings a chord that I get with the holds.
You don't just have a secret fantasy to live your life as a horse?
I can't say that I've ever had that, no. But I mean, now you can. You've got the dressage remote, so if you've ever wanted to be a horse, you've heard it here first, folks. Go main Orisa, and if you've ever wanted to be a train, then surely you're definitely going for that Reinhardt, especially with that speed boost that you've got with the shield now.
Oh yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. Of course, the shield will get burnt down a little quicker, but at least once the shield is burned down, you'll be there ready to swing the hammer in the face.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna be seeing much Reinhardt going into this first map of Lijiang because it is Gardens. Perhaps it would be a tale of another tank if we were on Control Center, but no. If you go for Reinhardt, even though you're still a little bit more less susceptible to those boops, it's still gonna be tricky to get over that bridge.
It will indeed. Anyway, we'll see what the... Oh, no wonder I'm alt-tabbed. So as we're loading in onto Gardens. So what do you expect we'll see here from these teams?
Well, I would say it's safe to assume that Chinese food is going to be taking up the mantle of the Pharah. We've seen it before. We've also seen him get the picks off on whichever DPS he really decides to tip his hat into. But it's going to be Ski Coops on the side of New York locals who's going to be looking to shut him down. And Chinese food not actually going with the Pharah to begin with, going with the Doomfist.
An interesting compositions. I know we've got 15 seconds left, so I don't think we'll see this, but yeah, if it sticks this way...
I want to see Switch on the Zenyatta. I want to see the Titans flags. I want them to field 2 off supports, but no. My wish will not be granted. Switch is going to be switching off onto the Moira, so no transcendences here today.
Well, the Wrecking Ball is coming out from Trank. Oh, both teams. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for that head-on collision course. And here it is now.
So both teams taking the bridge. Of course, we see Ski Coops here on that Pharah just over the point, raining down rockets onto Crimson. Chinese Food's actually first to fall in this fight. Dapper opens up with a kill there. Oh, Jason goes down in return. Trainclad though, flying off the side somehow. I'm not sure how that happened. So New York locals have the player advantage, but it will be Astray who is able to clean up and take first control of the point.
I mean, Rory managed to pick up the slack that Chinese Food left when he went back to spawn, and already over halfway to that first Death Blossom. However, they have nothing to contest this far as Ski Coops is getting all of the value, able to just stay in those clouds. Switch is coming up to this coalescence, so that is probably going to be popped as New York locals try and go for this approach, because you do have Anwei just a little bit further away.
Oh, Greg knocks Trainclad off. Trainclad is able to make it back onto the platform, and both teams brawling it out in this little house next to the point. And this is favouring favouring Astray. They're able to clean up 3 kills there. The farmers here, unfortunately, not able to do much work when the rest of the team is undercover.
Yes, but you do have Ski Coops on this far already with this barrage, and it's not going to be trying to land it into that Orisa Sigma. Trainclad is on the Hammond, so only 1 shield barrier, and you do have to remember, Orisa's shield, the cooldown got nerfed significantly, so if you time it, but no! They sacrificed the barrage! They swapped Ski Coops onto the Doomfist! Is it too little too late?
I don't know, they're going to engage through this side room again here. All Ski Coops get stunned, knocked out straight away. Able to make it back up on the platform, but gets killed in the end by Chinese Food anyway. And kills coming through from Switch, and Crimson and Trainclad getting in the action too. Another easy team fight win for Astray. And
if you look at these ultimates on the board, Tamp, it's looking like it's going to be a painful one for New York locals to try and wrest this point from Astray's grasp, because Rory is waiting for this Death Blossom to land it into surely that backline, and Carfixer does not have that Lucio sign barrier, so it's going to be up to
Arrow. Oh, whoa, what a whole combination with Arrow. Knocks both the tanks off. The rest of the team able to get away from that. A great combination from Crimzo and Arrow there, shutting down that fight before it even begins.
Yeah, no ultimates needed as well, so now even more the ultimate tips in the favor of Astray, but Ski Coops does manage to pick Trainclad up, so that's surely the go sign that New York locals are looking for.
Yeah, Astray perhaps getting a little too aggressive there, though. It is in overtime. The Carfixer has to rush to the point to just trigger the overtime wick. And in the fight outside of that. New York Locals has gotten the advantage. The minefield coming out in Train Cloud, but it's too little too late. The point has flipped over to New York Locals. Train Cloud will be cleaned up, and New York Locals finally building up the percentage.
Right, and that was Astray's own hubris. They go almost all the way to New York Locals spawn, and so when that point contest comes through, they're not ready and they have to expose all of their backsides for New York Locals. And now it's going to be Dapper who has this advantage, waiting to put that Death Blossom in. However, Aero does have this sign bar, so can bail the team out.
Yes, they can, and they've also got the Coalescence available from Switch, so really well supported here. They will choose to engage with that. Oh wow, Train Cloud going really deep, getting that accretion onto Skeet Coops to finish that off. Dapper comes out with a Death Blossom, but it's not going to get anything done. There's just too much support here for Astray. They will flip the point back. The team kill will ensure they take out Gardens and start us off at 1-0 here on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, so it sort of feels like that Hammond pick was Train Cloud playing with his food just a little bit, because we see the swap onto Sigma and we see the result almost instantaneously. Astray just almost wipe New York Locals off the face of that point, and the poor Lucio does.
Why they're currently the best team in this Overwatch All-Star Trials. We'll see. New York Locals, they did come out with the off-meta composition at the start. It didn't quite work out for them, but if that's the path they need to go, they, as we said at the start of the match, that's the path they may need to go. So, not a terrible effort from them.
No, but I want to see Skewcoops on something that isn't the Doomfist, because he tried to challenge Chinese food on it before and it just did not work out. However, those are the compositions they're going in with, and that fight is happening now.
Skewcoops going down low very early in that fight. Chinese food following up, but able to kill off Anion, Dapper as well. Skewcoops goes down to Rory, and Astray doesn't care about the point. They just want to chase New York Locals back to spawn.
Yeah, gonna be chased all the way back to spawn, and now, only now, the point is gonna be picked up. You know how it is in Overwatch. 10 points and afterthought, you go for the kills first of all. But now they can set up quite aggressively. It's gonna be Crimson looking to try and halt New York Locals out of position. However, the Sigma does have the shift ability if he wants to sacrifice that and put it on cooldown. But it just looks like Astray, they're gonna pull back to point. They're gonna be a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, and New York Locals just wanted to get in, Astray wanted to get straight into this brawl. They don't even want New York Locals to approach this point. Rory goes in very deep, takes off Skeet Coops. The halt from Crimson draws a lot of members in, and New York Locals suffering from the Aero, picking up 2 kills in the middle of that fight as well.
Yeah, and now if you're Astray, you can sit, you can look at the circles that you have at your disposal, and you can decide what exactly is going to win you this fight. You do have Anion ready with this Coalescence, but Coalescence cannot save you from a Meteor Strike or your team from a Death Blossom if pulled off properly. And so surely you are going to be trying to hold on to that one, but it's Carfixer with the Soundbar that I'm watching, because this Lucio has to be able to get the beat off.
Yeah, the dueling Coalescence come out. Chinese food chooses to open up with that Meteor Strike. Brings it down onto, straight on the top of O'Jason. Dapper opens up on the counter with the Death Blossom. Skeet Coops getting in on the action as well. This will be New York Locals with the advantage. They're finally able to push on the point. Let's just switch here. Aero, we'll see what you choose to do.
He's just gonna hang around point, being a nuisance the way that Lucios and Overwatch are. The slippery eels to catch are Lucios.
Ooh, Dapper going in deep.
If you're New York Locals, you kind of really had to throw in everything that you had at your disposal at the current point, so you are going to have a Supercharger, a Flux, and a Soundbar to see you through the pain that's going to be Astray's Crimson's pulled in Flux!
Oh!
That's gonna hurt!
Dapper! Unfortunately, Wraith forms straight into the Gravitic Flux. Train Cloud is taken down the middle of that though, so that's not too bad. Crimson Supercharger goes up, it goes down, Crimson goes very low, but Chinese food with a punch on the Greg it takes that Anion in the middle of that Coalescence too. That is big. It's only Carfixer left on the point. Astray will flip it back as they start building up from 70%.
And here's the difference, right? New York Locals, when they got that point flip and they had to commit ultimates. Astray, they put in 2, and they find so much value for it, and now they have both of their support ultimates alive for when Jason puts down the Superchargers, and Superchargers are only going to do so much. In fact, I think they're going to have to put them in just before they even touch the point and hope that Astray fall back.
They will indeed. The supercharger goes down straight away. Ski Coops has to get out, has to rocket punch away on half health. Another meteor strike coming with Chinese food again chooses to bring it down on the tanks. But they're able to survive thanks to great shield placement from Jason there. No one down on each team yet, but overtime has been triggered. New York locals have to push this point, and the Death Blossom from Rory will make that very, very difficult. The Coalescence not enough to keep the members of New York locals alive. Now there's a player advantage. We'll see what Dapper can do. Oh, gets stunned. Killed during the Death Blossom. That's great play from Astray there. They will hold him to this point. Greg's not going to be able to do anything. Astray will go 2-0 on Lijiang Tao and put themselves 1-up in this series.
And when do you start, if you're New York locals, when do you swap your DPS onto counters, and not just soft counters, but hard counters, for what Astray are running into your team? Because we haven't really seen McCree or Sombra, and people seem to have forgotten that Sombra exists. EMP is still very much one of the most impactful ultimates in game, but it's so rare that I'm finding that teams are even pulling her out the bag.
And you only really see it if the enemy team's running a bunker composition. So it seems bunker is the only reminder. Oh hey, we've got the character in this game that doesn't really care about shields, can disable the enemy team's ultimates. It's perplexing.
Well, I mean, a hacked Doomfist is sort of like you've just gone and cut all of his limbs off. He is essentially rendered immobile, which allows your team to jump that poor guy who thought he would be getting in, getting a support, and getting out. And then suddenly he finds himself just staring up into the eyes of two main tanks that know that you just tried to jump their Ana, but unfortunately it's just not happening, and I really would like to see it happen just a little bit more from teams that play against Astray, because Chinese food on this Doomfist, you cannot sleep on this guy.
No, you definitely don't want to sleep. And to your point, the McCree pick could help as well. We see Rory and Chinese food particularly going in very deep at the start of every fight. If you know that Doomfist is coming, you can plan for it.
You can definitely anticipate it, and not only that, if you go for Reaper, you are effectively getting two birds with one stone, because we're seeing Rory on the Reaper pick sometimes. And a good flashbang stops a Death Blossom straight in its tracks.
As long as you get it off before you know Rory is there. I know from just watching Astray, sometimes teams do not expect Rory to be behind them. And Rory likes being behind your team.
Horror story. Temp, the R-rated Overwatch play. Always check your corners, because there will be a Rory hiding somewhere waiting to Death Blossom and drop down on your head. But it's going to be Hanamura, so lots of corners, unfortunately, for this pesky Reaper to be hiding around. Whether we're going to see the Reaper, whether we're going to see the Mei, because she can be pretty strong, essentially, especially if you just go for those walls when the enemy walk through that choke. It can be quite a task to get through that courtyard.
Indeed it can. We'll see what they open up with here. New York locals will start out on the attack. So I guess Astray gets to set the tempo of this map. They've chosen defense. And based on what we saw in Lijiang Tower, there's a good possibility they could get a point A hold here. So New York locals, maybe you want to try something weird, then, well, Dapper is on Sombra. We'll see if that pans out in 40 seconds time.
Well, it could be that you just go on the Sombra to scout out the composition that the defenders are running. We've seen it happening more and more. You have the Hanzo with the Sonic Arrow. You've got the Sombra with the Stealth and that added agility when you're invisible. But it could be that they're just going to go back to spawn, because this Winston Orisa, as much as I think it would be entertaining to watch, it's also completely the wrong matchup for your tanks. And when so much is on the line in tournaments like this, you don't really want to experiment. To that point, you want to experiment with something that could potentially work, and we're going to see Greg swap onto the Sigma. I do want to see whether Dapper stays on the Sombra, because Chinese food on the Pharah, you can, if you manage to get the hack off, render the bird flightless. But Dapper, he's headed back, and it's going to be a Reaper. They know that they're going into the crossfires of a Pharah, and they choose a Reaper, not so much known for the Pharah counterplay.
Well, they probably saw that it worked for Australian Lijiang Tower, but yeah, it's going to be very difficult. We see Switch hiding out in the back line, so the wall comes out, cuts off half of New York locals. Jason made it through, but was cut down straight away. Ski Coops on the Mei, able to get away with their life, and that's the first attack halted.
So Chinese food is not just going for the backline now, he's going to the backsides of the front line and he's managing to just peep that window and put in so much damage, 42% to that first barrage, and poor Greg hasn't even managed to hit that 15% to the Sigma Flux. Geekums did try to save the team with the Maywall, but they're just trying the same thing again.
Arrow stuns! No, nothing coming of it. Ignore me.
The mercy with the rock onto. No, unfortunately, that's not a time.
Oh!
Went back to spawn the hard way. That's gonna be a hard one for New York locals to get back.
Yeah, fortunately, a good wall from Ski Coops there, but countered by an even better wall from Rory.
Now they're just hemmed up in
Jason's
this place.
stuck.
Temp, this is gonna be really tough for Greg to manage to make back, and it's just gonna be Astray taking full advantage of the poor New York locals. Tell the children, look away. This should not be broadcast. This is absolutely filthy at the moment. Chinese food has this barrage, but I mean, you are definitely going to be looking for it. However, if he manages to find the Sigma Shield, this is exactly what New York locals are going to be looking for. To shut the Pharah down, take the pharmacy out, and then move on.
Oh, Chinese food! Oh, gets cut down by the shield! There you go. Finally, some positive, something positive for the New York locals. The resurrection will come through in the Chinese field, but in the meantime, Jason will get cut off, but able to use the shield to save themselves there. And a rotation going around all the way around the back from New York locals. Okay. Astray.
Okay, well, they have to keep in mind that Rory is going to have this Blizzard up, which means Aniyu needs to save the Coalescence in case members get caught, and that's a pull, but no Blizzard follow-up!
The Blizzard goes out, it isn't absorbed. Rory goes down the middle of it, Aniyu with the Coalescence to keep all the members of New York locals alive. All of them except Greg, of course. It looks like there might be no Train Cloud is able to get away, get the Gravitic Flux off, lift up a couple of members of New York locals. Crimson will finish off Jason. That's some Orisa on Orisa action there. Carfix will get the boot on the Train Cloud, but the kills are going the way of Astray here. Chinese food able to finish out that fight.
Yeah, managing to, and already almost building up to that next barrage, 82%. Managed to find the Sigma Shield the first time, so definitely going to be looking for something else. Dapper does have this Death Blossom, so we're probably going to see the Reaper try and teleport onto the high ground. Perhaps drop down onto Crimson, who's playing a little bit on danger there, dancing on edge, thinking that he's going to be safe, and he is going to be jumped on by New York locals who just go straight for the point.
Gee, that's a very aggressive play, but you're going to... Hey, Greg! Kill Chinese food again with the barrier, and Jason with the kill on the Crimson is now. That Death Blossom coming out from Dapper, just a nice distraction in the back line. And Rory, try as he might, you're not going to stop this. New York locals will take point A with 20 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, it will not be the full hold that Astray was surely looking for, but only just barely. However, if you're New York locals, it's looking up for you. You've got a little bit of silver lining. You managed to take that point, and you've got ultimates to try and steamroll this and snowball it into a point B. Jason is probably just going to drop those sign barriers straight in Ski Coops. You've got to think, pull with Blizzard. It's a deadly combination. It's about to get very, very cold here. Temp, wrap up warm.
It is indeed. There you go. So New York locals making their way straight into the point. Ski Coop goes very low. But is able to get the... Oh, it's eaten by Train Cloud. The Blizzard denied. Ski Coop's denied as well. Taken down by Rory. The kills, though, going the way of New York locals. They have the player presence on the point. There's no mercy available to them. The arrows on the defense retreating. We'll see the fast swaps coming out now from Astray. Crimson comes back on the Wrecking Ball. We'll see if they're able to get anything done. It's 2.5 ticks taken so far. So New York locals just need to clean up. But looks like...
They do clean up, but Greg's got the Sigma Flux, and so it's going to be... The kills doesn't matter!
Oh, Train Cloud! Yeah, so the... Oh, geez, Crimson and Chinese who coming out really big there for Astray. New York locals, a lot of progress, but not quite the point completion.
Oh, they're going to be looking at that one, and if they don't manage to lock that point B, they're definitely going to be thinking of the what-ifs. Dapper is 8% away from the next Death Blossom, though, so was able to build that one up like an absolute madman. However, Switch, we've seen the power of the Coalescence. Aniyu managed to keep the team alive through the Blizzard. Switch has a Coalescence, maybe able to keep them alive through the Death Blossom if it doesn't connect with the heads. However, you do have New York locals building up to that one themselves.
Oh, Dapper!
But the Maywall!
There you go, the Death Blossom does come out from Dapper. Unfortunately, too much healing for the side of Astray. Nothing coming from the Death Blossom there. In fact, just kills going the way of Astray. So, two ultimates invested there from New York locals, zero benefit. They didn't even make it off the high ground.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would have rather seen Aniyun manage to keep a hold of the Coalescence. You saw Switch use it, so you know that you would have had that one in your pocket where your rival wouldn't have. But Arrow with this sound barrier, so Kafixa, he's gonna have it up as well. It's gonna be on these two Lucios to hold on to these ultimates for when these Sigma Fluxes come through, because that will entirely negate all of the damage. So it's gonna be up to both of these teams to get the Lucio out of the fight before it begins.
Yeah, and New York locals looking to push the top side again, but not going all the way up. They're making the way across the front of the point. I'm just going to sit up here. There you go, Ski Coops. Drop. There you go. All the team dropping down onto the main entry to the point. All the Gravitic Flux comes out. Carfixer left off the sand barrier. Keeps all the members of New York locals alive. And the Gravitic Flux comes out in the counter for the attacking team now. And Aero's sand barrier keeps their members alive as well. The real mirror fight here. Oh, Jason, though, the first casualty of this fight. Dapper goes down as well. Skid Coop's able to get one to Crimson, but it might be too little, too late for New York locals. They've only got 10 seconds left. They have to be on the point, but they are losing members left, right, and center. Anion with another Coalescence. That was very quickly built, but someone's got to be touching the point. It's overtime. Okay, overtime is triggered. Carfix are able to trigger that. And the Meteor Strike, though, Chinese Food finishing off both the supports, and that attack will be over. 82% of the point B taken for New York locals.
And I mean, we have to cast our minds back to that almost point B snowball when New York locals came so close to locking down point B and they just weren't able to clinch it, because we see Astray just managing to come onto the point to brawl it out and get the kills coming in their favor. And surely if we're thinking about it, New York locals are as well, but let's just hope that they can manage to take this map. Otherwise, they're definitely going to be looking at that one and scratching their heads.
I think when New York watches this back, they won't feel too bad about that. That re-engage from Astray was very, very well coordinated. Aero was the last one alive. They pulled out, and the team waited until everyone had respawned and came in as a group. Often you'll see teams try and come in, try and stall it out one at a time, and that's what gives the attackers the advantage. Astray played that calmly. They said, you know what, we're going to give up 80% of this point. We're going to cut, but in doing that, we're going to come back together as a group and give us the best possible opportunity to stall out. They did, and they ended up being able to stall out point B as a whole. So, not New York locals, yes, maybe in the moment right now they feel bad, but watching it back, I don't think they'll feel too disappointed about that.
Yeah, they definitely did miles better than that first map of Lijiang, but they're going to decide to try and defend Hanamura A with the Bastion and the Farah, and on the opposite end, we've got Rory teasing the Symmetra, which means get some grated mozzarella on both your defense and your attack. It's the cheese strats, and I'm gonna put my hand on my heart. I like seeing this. I like seeing how teams decide to adapt, and it's definitely gonna be on the rotation if New York locals want to keep this point.
And they're running a May as well, so they might be going for the sneaky teleport strat onto the roof. Oh, they are! And you drop the telly, there you go. So Astray's in already. The teleporter over the roof, unfortunately, left them cut off. The teleporter went down before Chinese Food and Crimson can make it in. And Rory is the first to fall. And Dapper making great use of the fact that Astray is split up. They are on the point. They're capping it a little bit. New York locals may want to make their way onto the point. Looks like they are, yeah, okay. With Ski Coops out in the field, tearing apart Crimson as well. Astray, yeah, they're not going to survive here. Aero and Trainclad throwing themselves off, admitting defeat on that first push.
Oh, throw yourself off the cliff so that your enemy doesn't get the ultimate charge. I don't think they're gonna be particularly unhappy about how that first defense went. They managed to beat Astray back pretty well. They're gonna have Anrion's Batiste amplification matrix to drop in front of Ski Coops, who is no doubt gonna be able to farm that tank mode off it. The rod comes in, but unfortunately it only finds shielding. The Chinese Food on the far are definitely gonna be looking for that concussive blast to get them all down.
Ooh, and the Ski Coops just tearing their way through both the shields from Astray. Very difficult for the attacking team to get in here through this through this bunker. Chinese Food though over the top, just raining down rockets, trying to build up their way towards that power. Just Jason takes a little nap, a good sleep there from Switch. Oh, a great anti-heal, a great Baltic grenade as well. And
the ults are in the favor of New York locals. However, it doesn't matter if you've got a dragon. position. They're
Yeah,
gonna be in absolute panic right now.
And it displaces the bunker. So that's what Astray needed to get into this point. Like we see the configuration tank coming from Ski Coops. Oh, Chinese food over the top. 5 kills to the barrage. Tank, I don't care. I've got a giant rocket pack on my back. And that will be Astray taking the point.
I mean, teamwork makes the dream work. If you don't think your barrage is gonna let the Farah survive, then put a nano on her back and see what true horrible murder you will wring. And that is gonna be Chinese food. We've talked about this guy so much. You can see why. This guy is an absolute monster on the DPS. That Farah just trying to hold on New York locals on this high ground, but the drop is gonna have to come in.
Oh, that's a sneaky little boot. Dapper unfortunately get isolated. Ski Coops going down as well. This defense looking a bit tenuous for New York locals here. The kills all going the way of Astray. The supercharger comes out from O'Jason, but it is taken down in quick order. They're able to poke off Rory in the middle of that, but with the Train Cloud and Chinese Food getting in the action, Chinese Food just tearing their way through. Greg's Gravitic Flux. Oh, we'll see if able to slam down 4, gets the tanks very low, but gives their life in the meantime. And Astray in command of the point right now.
And they're not regrouping. They're not taking a page from Astray. They're just going in one by one, which means it's so hard for them to secure the kills.
And this Coalescence and Switch just hosing down O'Jason there. Oh, stun killed. It looks like Astray will capture the pole. Greg charges through. And Astray will put themselves up 2-0 in this series on match point.
Yeah, but we are seeing signs of life from New York locals. The Bastion, while it worked. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of a spanner in the works. Under the guise of Rory's Dragon and Chinese Food's monster of a barrage. Surely that's one that you're going to be clipping because, oh boy, Farah, it's quite hard to find value on this Farah barrages, especially with this double shield meta that you're running your barrage into, because too close to a shield and you end up rocket blasting, reflecting in your face, and that's always a painful one, but managing to make it work. And now with your New York locals, you've had Lijiang, you've had Hanamura, we're headed off to Junkertown. It's not really looking up, is it? You can play Farah on that point A Junkertown, not so much B and C, but definitely on A.
Yes, you can, and you actually see Bastion compositions on both attack and defense on Junkertown a fair bit as well. Not as prevalent as when, I think it was when Orisa first came out, when we just saw Pirate Ship, we saw the Rhyme, we saw the Orisa, which is Pirate Ship all day, every day. You'd see the teams capturing the map over and over again. I know from last time, Astray didn't really wanted to, last time I saw them play at least, Astray didn't want to opt in for that bunker composition on defense, but they were able to hold, I think it was this game, they were able to hold a team inside the point A spawn for about 3 minutes, just with the May Reaper. So, New York locals will want to be very wary if they see Astray in front of their spawn door as they're coming out on attack.
I mean, that's the question. Are we going to see Astray, because they're opting for defense, are we going to see Astray try to pull the same sort of trick and just bum rush New York locals and not even allow them to get set up on that payload? Or are we going to see them take a little bit of a more measured approach and set up just a little bit further away, allow New York locals to get onto the payload and then drop down, as we see so many defending teams do, and just swarm that point when it gets past the corner?
I'm not sure Astray knows the meaning of the word measured.
No, I don't think they know the meaning of the word slow. These guys are very much aggressive. Their tanks are aggressive. Their DPS are aggressive, and their supports are absolutely bloodthirsty. Some of those antis coming from Switch. Oof.
Indeed. So as we load into Junkertown now, both teams on the last map showing off a bit of that Farah play. So I definitely expect to see some Farah coming out. Chinese food, I guess, is like a lot of Chinese food. Sometimes you just can't get enough. You eat it, half an hour later, you're hungry for more. I think Chinese food is hungry for more Farah.
I really want to see this guy on Farah, and I want to see Ski Coops. He's tried the Farah, he's tried the Doomfist. I want to see them McCree. At what point do you just say, okay, we're not going to be stubborn anymore, we've lost 2 maps because of this, and swap onto not the meta, but the actual hard counter, because McCree is pretty decent at taking out Pharahs. But you know what else is pretty decent at taking out Pharahs? It's gonna be a Bastion in Chinese food. We're not gonna get our wishes. He's back on the Doomfist, and we're not gonna complain about that either, because if you get Crimson's pulling in New York locals as he's been doing all night, then those meteor strikes are gonna pack one heck of a punch. Excuse the pun.
They will indeed, and as you switch on the Moira as well, no biotic grenades come out in the defense, but then this is the meta composition right now, and this is what Astray is good at. So I expect to see. Oh, Rory. Oh, okay. I think they are going for the don't leave your spawn hold. Rory
yeah,
hiding.
Like, you see the payload. This is our payload. Come take it from us. Not gonna be a measured defense at all, and this is gonna be the aim of the game. Keep Ski Coops from setting up on that payload, and it's gonna be a war of attrition of these shields.
And we see Rory just hiding here, waiting for the... Oh, okay, Ski Coop's able to get the first kill onto Chinese food. Rory getting in the backline there. The immortality field going down, but able to keep the members of New York locals alive for now. But once that wears off, Rory is able to take down the Bastion. Is killed quickly by Greg, but it's an all-out brawl card here. The team's trading back and forward, but this will favour the New York locals, both with the spawn advantage and the fact they have more eliminations. And just like that, that close defense is broken. And New York locals will finally start this pirate ship going.
Yeah, that ship is going to be setting sail, and it looks like it's not going to be stopping anytime soon, especially if Anyun has this Batiste amplification matrix ready to put in front of Ski Coop. So much damage going to be coming out from the side of the Bastion. Do you, if you're Astray, just hide behind the line of sight and try not to engage? But these guys, they're not measured. They're just going to jump straight into the fray.
Yeah, Rory picks up with the start of the quick 2k, the wall from Chinese food blocking off any chance of escape from New York locals there. And this is that unchecked aggression we were talking about. Astray giving no quarter. New York locals stopped here at the bridge.
I thought for sure that payload was going to make it to at least a meter within point A, but no, we're proven wrong, and Ski Coop's going to be off that Bastion onto the Doomfist, and they're sacrificing the amplification matrix. We've seen these guys sacrifice ultimates before. However, amplification matrix puts down so much damage on your side, and Crimson is coming up close to the supercharge. In fact, it's there now, so surely that's going to be going down as soon as New York locals finish this corner.
Another wall comes out, doesn't quite cut off anyone from New York locals. Carfix actually finishes off Chinese food at the start of that fight. Anyun going back down, Rory doing what Rory does in the back line of the opposing team. Supercharger comes out from Jason, although the gravitic flux will lift everyone inside it up. Train Cloud picking up 2 kills in the middle of that. It's now it's a 3v3 on the cart actually. No healing though on the side of the attacker team. All they've got is the little cart healing that provides. Anyun gets back, a bit more support there. Chinese Food's back on the Mei as well, very close to that. Sorry, I was gonna say very close to that Blizzard. The Nano Boost all goes on the Train Cloud. They get stunned instantly, but they're able to survive and pull away. Rory throws in this blossom, takes down 5. Bloody hell, the DPS from Astray loving these giant kills. Rory with the complete team kill there onto New York locals.
Yeah, New York locals had a glimmer of hope, and then Rory just dashes that one straight off the table, clear off the corpses. It's gonna be another of New York locals trying to approach. Greg does have the Sigma Flux, but Arrow is waiting to put the switch onto that sound barrier, which means all of that damage just reduced. Sigma gets lifted, but they're not even gonna beat for him!
No, Chinese Food throws in the Blizzard over the top, gets a freeze on both the tanks. Oh, that's... Jason's... Oh, no, I was gonna say Jason getting away, but no, that's not gonna happen. Crimson gets the kill there. And again, New York locals is forced back, and they've only got 45 seconds left on the clock.
No survivors, Temp. No survivors, and it's gonna be Astray pushing up so aggressively. They're gonna pull back just a little bit, thinking that maybe they're not gonna hold at that first corner. It's going to be New York locals trying to approach this. No ultimate. Staff are trying to build up to that Death Blossom. Ski Coops, I think, is going to be the first one to come. Meteor Strike is up and available. But Crimson off the table. A huge advantage on their side already.
Ski Coops going really aggressive, setting up that kill that unfortunately dies in the middle of that Meteor Strike. And oh, there you go. Train Cloud with the Gravitic Flux annihilating the remaining members of New York locals. I don't think anyone's going to make it back Dapper with the Death Blossom. Throws it in desperately, but slept. I don't think anyone's going to be able to make it back. And Astray will hold here on point 8, 69 meters in.
Yeah, Ski Coops goes for that contest touch, but unfortunately gets spooked back both by a Lucio and an Orisa, and then Ice Pick lobotomized by a Mei. And so if you're New York locals, you really do have to go, I feel, for the Bastion bunker, and it just cannot crack, because once it cracks, you have opened the door for Astray, and they're gonna just wedge it open, put all their weight behind it, and make sure it doesn't shut again.
But look, at this point, they're sitting on Astray is sitting on match point. They've got a nice, easy win condition here. Complete most of point A. So I think New York locals, if they want to stay in this match and at least bring it back to a draw, you've got to go for that. You've got to go for that close hold. You've got to go for that bunker. Of course, even
And
if the
it
close hold
cannot waver. That's the thing, because Astray are going to be so close. All of those reinforcements are going to be less than a meter's walk away, a stone's throw from spawn. And if you're New York locals, you have that trudge, that walk of shame to get all the way back into that fight. Ski Coops is going to be on the Bastion, but I don't really know about this pick from Carfixer on the Ana. Surely you would prefer the Mercy, the res on the table over the Anti-Nade at this point.
Yeah, I guess it's a choice the teams face. Do you want the anti-nade? Do you want the sleep as well to help deal with the Hadrorian Chinese food? It can be useful. I guess, and there are ones, even with the forward hold, yes, if you do lose it, Astray is likely to march through. But I think if New York locals can play this smart, if the forward hold does fail, if they can die quick and then get back quick enough, even with that Lucio, they might get a second to contest.
I'm just worried because Astray, yeah, they've got the pharmacy out, but if they'd swapped one of their own to the Bastion, then their Bastion would have the huge advantage over Ski Coops with that damage boost, but it doesn't matter. Chinese food is actually trying to fly just all the way around the back, get the rotation in. Gonna be a little bit of a pincer as Astray try to approach this room that New York locals are holed up in from all angles.
Oh, and the hook onto Carfix, so that's the Ana taken out of the fight straight away. No sleep, no body grenade, Chinese food, and raining and rockets into the back of that building. Oh, this has fallen apart for New York locals. Astray will start pushing this cart almost immediately.
Yeah, and now if you're New York locals, you have to make sure that you win every single team fight preceding that. And Chinese food, he's gonna make it so difficult, setting up so aggressively, looking for the barrage.
On the barrage already.
1% away from getting it, gets it online now, and so he's probably just gonna be hiding, waiting for New York locals to poke their faces out and just gonna get that ultimate in their back line.
Got this tiny little door to get out, and if New York locals look like they're a bit scared of that door. Carfix are flying through the air, trying to challenge the Pharaoh, it looks like. Dapper, oh, okay, so they've got to stop the cart though. The hook onto Anion, that's another big lot of healing denied. Switch goes down in the meantime as well. The Brawl is now on the cart. Kill's going back and forth, but it is in the favor of Astray as Switch is brought back into the fight as well. It's just Greg here. That'll be it, and Astray will take a blisteringly fast Junkertown, and they will take the series in the process.
Yeah, and I feel New York locals, they definitely had fight in them. We saw some nice strategies coming from them, especially that attempt at the Junkertown defense, but we also saw that Astray know exactly how to handle it. You just make sure that you have every single angle covered, and then jump in the poor team who have cornered themselves. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Look at this Death Blossom, no survivors, gets the Moira, hunts down Aniun. Not gonna get out alive to tell that tale.
No, but New York locals will have a chance here on Iconvolt to get themselves some points. Of course, Matt wins at this point, can get you points for the All-Star Trials. And in the meantime, make sure, I know the series isn't over, but we've seen 3 maps. Make sure that you're voting for your MVP in the little applet below the stream at the end of the cast. Obviously, we will reveal who your MVP is.
I mean, at the moment, surely, the 2 names in the hat, it has to be Astray's team. These guys have been securing the kills, the openings that the team are needing to just surge into these team fights and absolutely just kind of, not steamroll, but somewhat close along, wash over like a tsunami for the side of New York locals.
Yeah, and in addition to that, there's also a great, you can make a good case for the supports as well. And the DPS, yes, if a DPS getting aggressive, getting the kills, it's nice to see, but often it's the supports that are there with them, keeping them alive while they're deep inside enemy territory that can make all the difference. Because a DPS that goes in without any support is going to get cut down straight away, and that's not really much use. So, I mean, Aero in particular has been working well with Crimson. We saw that even on Lijiang Tao. We saw a great Holt boot combination to just to put the tanks from New York Locals straight into pit at the start of the fight, and that cut it down. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm saying that they're working really well together. They're well coordinated. So yeah, the supports and the tank line, everyone in Astray doing a really good job of supporting Rory and Chinese Food. They're enabling them to have this amount of success they're having.
They are indeed. Arrow definitely managing to get behind with Chinese Food to make sure, and obviously switches Nano onto the Farah as well, making sure that Chinese Food survived to get that absolutely whopper of a barrage that we got treated to on Lijiang A on their attack. It was spicy, does not even come close to describing it, but you're going to Eichenwald. If you're New York Locals, I hate to sound like a broken record on repeat. When do you grab a McCree? Tep, is it me that it's still in the DPS slot, right? He's still available for play.
Who knows? Maybe there's a bug and he's just not available. He's just disappeared. No one's really noticed. Like, was there a character with a revolver and a flashbang? Nah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, he's just the Dark Souls, you know? You just roll around and keep rolling for the GTR patch, waiting for someone to buff you. But he's still viable, especially if you're being jumped on by a Farah, by a Doomfist, which is the problem that New York Locals are having to deal with. And we saw the Sombra briefly, vaguely, rarely, almost an extinct species by this point. I'm fairly sure every time I see a Sombra in competitive play, I just want to cage it and capture it and take it home and put it in a habitat because they're an endangered species. We have to look after the Sombras.
We do indeed. And at this point, you know, Locals, what have you got to lose? You might as well bring those picks out. I mean,
yeah, just show us something a little bit different, a little bit of a variety. It's Eichenwald. You can play quite a lot on this map. You can commit to the dive, you can go for the Ryan Zarya, you can indeed go for the Orisa Sigma double shield meta, which we're seeing so prevalent in Overwatch professional play at this point. Or you could throw an absolute curveball and play something that Astray aren't expecting, and after 3 maps of being dominated by a Doomfist and a Farah, and not switching McCree, surely what they're not expecting to run into is that very particular DPS.
I'll just throw logic out the window. Go Wrecking Ball, go Winston, go McCree, go Widow. You know, you've got
I
the
love how
hard
the
counter
same
for Farah there.
sentence logic is used as Hammond. I don't think Wrecking Ball has ever been eponymous with logic, but in this situation he actually is. We still the Hammond a little bit on again the rest.
We did 2 on Lijiang Tower, yeah.
We got 2 on Lijiang Tower, indeed. 2 hamsters running around under everyone's heels, but unfortunately it was quite quick. It was quite brief. But it's gonna be Jason on the Orisa and Greg picking up that Sigma, with Dapper on the Raper and Ski Coops on this Doomfist, trying to go into Chinese Food's Farah. I just want these guys to realize that there's a Farah above their heads. Turn tail, go back to spawn and suck. But it doesn't matter, the rock! Greg taking things into his own hands, gonna be a Farah counter of his own.
That's not the first time I've seen that. The great body grenade onto the front line of New York Locals here will make it a little more difficult than to push in. Dapper goes and triggers the point. Oh, just getting away with their life there, but unfortunately, Chinese Food doing too much damage in the front line. New York Locals forced back to spawn.
Yeah, New York Locals' one solution to dealing with Chinese Food is apparently Boulder sent the way of Farah. So this guy is raining on his head, but it's actually going to be Dapper swapping onto the Farah. We still Ski Coops trying to pick up that one, so we'll see if Dapper has any sort of luck. It's going to be Carfixer on the Mercy as the pocket, but Chinese Food already with this barrage up and ready to go, surely at an advantage.
Just dancing around this clock tower. Both teams, I don't know where Dapper and Carfixer are. They're just coming in a bit low. The stealth Farah approach. Unyun opens up with the coalescence, just trying to target down. Oh, it gets stunned out of it, I think. Was trying to target the pharmacy in the air. So the brawl on the point now, Chinese Food throws in that barrage. It's taken down in the middle of it, but it's enabled Rory and Trainclad to get in on the action too. Another fight shut down very quickly if Carfixer ever decides to get killed. Yes.
But Carfixer actually loses sight of Dapper, so Dapper flies off without the Mercy Tail, which leaves Carfixer alone and vulnerable on that point. and Dapper alone and vulnerable in the skies. So both of the two actually get taken out, separated, disintegrated, back to spawn. And Rory does have a blizzard. He'll be looking to put that one in as soon as New York locals try and get through this point. If you're Greg, surely you're looking for the eat, but it's such a hard ask. That Sigma Grasp, it's such a small ability.
Yeah, unfortunately. So that Pharaoh's just dancing around over his rooftops here, trading blows. Chinese Food's finally able to land a double blow onto Dapper. We'll see if Carfix can get the res, but in the meantime, yeah, there's a blizzard going in. The rest of the team, Carfix chooses not to do the res. And at a minute 40 left, New York locals in a very rough spot.
Yeah, so Dapper's attempt at taking out the pharmacy is apparently go for Chinese Food first. However, that means that Arrow is then available to either res the Pharah if it gets taken out, or heal them up if they get hit. I would rather see Dapper switch targets and go for Arrow, who does have Valk, so could get out of a hotspot with that one. But the supercharges come in and the pull, it's gonna be a lot of damage coming in for New York locals.
Well, that's a good start for New York locals. Crimson going down at the start of that fight. That's the Orisa gone. Supercharger's still out, but it finally gets broken down. Rory doesn't like what they're seeing, gets the counter pick onto Greg. Dapper finally gets the one-on-one on Chinese Food. And Carfix are picking out Greg as well. Dapper is out of the fight, but the advantage is slightly with New York locals as the nanos come out in both teams. Traincloud uses the gravitic flux as well, able to take down OJ in the middle of that. Okay, a blizzard coming through from Ski Coops, able to freeze multiple members of Astray. Unfortunately, not many kills coming out of the back of that though. We just see Carfixer, goes down the back line as Dapper's able to get the Chinese Food, I think, killed themselves by shooting Dapper. Unfortunately, it's only Ski Coops left here on the point as a rock flies over the top, doesn't quite get anyone from Greg. Traincloud goes with the counter rock, Jason just chooses to tank it. It's now 1v3 on the fight. Jason is outnumbered, outgunned, but we see the reinforcements coming through from New York locals. Crimson's also back on the wrecking ball. Oh, big gravitic flux coming through. Straight into the barrage of Dapper. That's enough to get a couple of kills, but the Overtomic's about to start. Greg is on the point to trigger that. Kills though going both ways. I think Astray has the advantage here. Yep, it's just Jason left on the point, and I think that might be it. Ski Coops has to run around the wall. Not quite going to get it done, and Astray will hold here on point A.
Well, they managed to get 34.2% on the board, if I read that correctly, before we got to go to the second round.
Exactly.
They did indeed. 34.2%, and so it's going to be all hands on deck if they want to keep Astray from snagging Eichenwald point A. It's going to be a difficult task. It's possible. I do want to see a little bit more target priority. New York locals, they kind of seem to outsource all of the dealing with the Pharah for Chinese Food onto poor Dapper, who had such a huge task in front of him. Get the Pharah, get the Mercy. The rest of the team just kind of ignored them, and you can't sleep on Pharahs, especially at this level, because you can say there's not a bird above my head, but I hate to tell you that does not wipe said bird from existence.
No, it doesn't. And I think Dapper probably caught between a rock and a hard place there. If you can at least provide competition to Chinese Food, you can at least be distracting the Pharah so she's not raining down rockets in the team, even if you're not taking them out. But that does rely on your team on the ground, the 4 remaining members of your team on the ground. They need to be able to take that fight against the 4 members of the other team on the ground. And unfortunately for New York locals, they're just not quite getting that fight done. And it's just allowing that once the ground forces of New York locals is down, Chinese Food doesn't have to pay as much attention to Dapper, and they can just roll over the fight.
Okay, Switch. I'm begging you, stick with this then. It's been so long since I've got to see. No. My heart's been broken.
Oh, okay, Rory.
That Dapper's head just got cracked in half by Rory. That initial shot onto the fire is surely not gonna make Dapper feel any better about how his day's been going.
No, but I like this composition. The bunker with the Pharah in support makes it a bit harder for the attacking team to go at the bunker if they're worried about a Pharah. It'll be up to Chinese Food really to just deal with Dapper to keep them a bit subdued. And just another Roadhog as well from Traincloud. A good shield busting strategy.
Yeah, and Switch has actually gone on to the
Hey!
Zen. I didn't think I would get to the day that we saw Mercy and Zen. Not a lot of healing and sustainability going to be on the side of Astray. But New York locals, they've got this Batiste Immortality field actually coming out pretty early, and so Astray's surely going to be looking to push in on that. That has one heck of a cooldown.
Yeah, the shields, though, getting busted down very quick for New York locals. They're forced to reposition to bash him down the bottom. Oh, what a hook! Train Cloud just yoinks that Baptiste out. Chinese Food throws in the barrage over the top. That's the pharmacy down. That's the point taken. Astray will win 4-0.
I mean, this is a screen. These guys, they're not unaccustomed to seeing. They've taken their 4 auras before and play of the game going the way of Chinese Food. I personally, one of my highlights was Carfix and managed to pick up 2, get both of the supports out with the Valk. Unfortunately, not going to be play of the game, but look at this target focus straight for the Mercy, and then the rest of the team followed. That is the sort of target focus that I wish New York locals had. Arrow had the Chinese Food had the priority set straight. Get the Mercy, get the res out of the table, get all of the support and damage boosting off, and then move on to the rest of the team.
Yeah, so overall, really good communication from Astray there, picking their targets, as I said. Also, we saw a lot of the May coming out from, I didn't actually write, from, was it Rory or May on the Chinese field? I think it was mostly Rory.
Rory, yes.
Yeah, in any case, yeah, great wall usage as well, as I think Rory just joined us.
Hello.
Hello. We're just throwing praise your way.
We're singing the songs of the May. What a wonderful song it is. Congratulations on your 4-0, and also that absolutely stunker of a Death Blossom on a Junkertown. And I have to ask, was it a sort of in the moment, or were the comms set up so that that was the plan as soon as New York local showed their face?
It was kind of an in the moment thing. Like, I read the situation and saw they had no cooldowns, so I just popped my all and nail died.
I guess that's how you want to play Overwatch. Just, press a button. Oh, the team's dead. Team kill. Easy done.
Yeah.
So yeah, really.
Oh no! After you.
So yeah, a really good win there. I was going to ask a dumb question, because I know. No, go ahead.
So we've seen you kind of seesaw with the Reaper and with the May. Completely taking meta out of discussion, which one is your favorite to play and why?
May, because I don't really play her that much and it's kind of fun. Like, yeah, it's just fun doming people from across the map.
I mean, for
not
someone
something
who says that they don't play May a lot, you definitely have the mindset down for the May player. Have you managed to get that dumb question? We like dumb questions, Tam. They're the best kind of questions.
I guess from a team perspective, I know you've said before you like to play aggressive, but why? I guess when you decided on that playstyle, the aggressive playstyle, we see you getting in Chinese Food, just going in straight away at the start of every fight. Is that something as a team you developed over time, or is that just something when you came together, you started playing together and you realized that was a playstyle you liked?
Well, yeah, that's just our playstyle. We like playing aggressive. We like, just bringing it right to them. It's kind of what we do.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Because if we don't, then I'm always like complaining, saying hold W. And if yeah.
So it's really, we've got to go in and support Rory. He's
Yep.
just gonna flounder without us.
And meta is obviously shifting big time. If the PTR patch notes definitely kind of have to talk about those. Do you feel like that's been enough to kill this Arista Sigma, or do you think it's still going to be extremely prevalent?
I feel like Orisa in a way will be good, but shields in general kind of suck right now. I think the main concern will be armor, like Brig. I think Brig will be an issue. Her armor packs, like, since they buffed armor, yeah, she's just gonna be broken.
So it's gonna be a sort of all of the people who used to main Mercy flocking to Brig, then back to Moira, then now it's gonna be flocking back to Brig, so we can probably expect to see plenty of Brigs in our game. So how do you feel then it's gonna be best trying to counter that? What would you take if you had your pick of the entire Overwatch map pool to kill a Brigitte?
What map would I choose?
Oh no. What hero?
What hero? To kill Brig. Probably like Pharah, honestly. Pharah's probably one of the best heroes to play against Brig. You can't really do anything against him.
I suppose that's fair. I mean, the Brig's probably down on the ground having a lot of fun smacking people in the face, going, I'm helping, I'm helping.
No, Temp, the Brig's got 4 golds. Don't you know every Brig player?
Yeah, they always got 4
I've got 4 golds, guys.
Yeah, what are you doing?
So, obviously, 4-0 is you're not unfamiliar with that sort of score. When you came into the fight against New York Locals, was there any sort of deviation from the game plan? Were you expecting any curveballs thrown your way, and what was the move to anticipate that?
Nah, we knew we were gonna 4-0. We had that confidence. We think, well, we know we're the best team in this little tournament, so we just gotta focus on going out there and performing, and we'll just 4-0 everybody.
Well, they can definitely talk the talk, and they have the scores to back it all up. Temp, it was definitely one treat of a game that we really did get to see some stellar Overwatch play from the DPS, from the tanks, and from the supports. If there was anyone on your team, Rory, that you would give that MVP to, who would be getting the medal?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I think Chinese. I think Chinese did a good job on the Pharah. I think he popped off and made a lot of space.
Yeah, definitely had the better of that Pharah duel against Dapper.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And speaking of that, was there any sort of surprise, or not really surprise, but I don't quite know how to word it. Were you expecting New York Locals to field, say, a McCree or a hard Doomfist/Pharah counter? Was there any sort of astonishment when they didn't? Do you think that would have tipped it a little bit more in their favor?
Nah, we would just adapt and win that way. I feel like, yeah, the last match we played was against Illusion, and we kind of just like memed too much, and then we stopped trying, and that's why it drew. But like this time, we're not showing any mercy to anybody. We're just gonna execute and 4 everybody.
Execute and 4-0 everybody. Famous words, and I've seen you guys in action. I'm sure you can stick to them. That sates my curiosity for the day. Temp, any burning questions at the back of your mind?
Not from me, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Rory. Congratulations on the win. Definitely well earned. It's been lovely talking with you. And Temp, our time, it's drawing to an end.
Oh,
Aww.
Thank you for having me. I'm gonna head out. Peace out, guys.
See ya.
Thank you for casting.
Well, thank you for playing. we can't do our jobs if we don't have teams to watch, teams to nitpick through and sort through. But it's going to be a little bit of a not one that we've really got to talk about today, Temp, who's picking up that sword after MVP. It's going to be Train Cloud, and you can definitely see why looking back. Some of the plays that this guy set up, it was really nice to see.
Yeah, it's good, and it's good to see recognition for a tank player as well. I know it's easy to focus on Rory and Chinese food. They're the ones out there in the kill feed doing all the showy stuff. But a lot of what the DPS do, I think we talked about it before, is set up by the space the tanks make, and then the healing and the support that come in from the support players. So, a well-earned MVP for Train Cloud there.
Yeah, he's not going to be rewarded with an interview, but he will probably be happier picking that one up. He won't be interrogated. Well, that is going to be all for us tonight, unfortunately. The Overwatch All-Star Trials Season 2, Week 7. You can catch me on Twitter at GutMoxie. That's 2 T's because some unlucky poor sucker managed to get that one without 1 T and dashed my hopes forever of being original in 2019. Temp, where can we find you?
You can find me casting here at Star Esports and a few other orgs. I don't really have a social media presence. Probably should work on that, so I've got something to talk about at the end of these matches.
No, it's okay. Not a lot don't have, so it's a quirky thing that people will remember about you. Oh, that's Temp, he doesn't have Twitter. Good for you. I was like, it's
Is he even a real
ocean out
person? I'm just
is
a
he
bot.
a person in 2019 if no social media does not compute? .exe has stopped working and needs a reboot, and it being, I think, around 2 a.m. my time, my brain most definitely needs a reboot. So it will be all for us tonight, folks. Do tune in next time. We will have plenty of amazing matches for you to see.